I want to start this video by sharing two quotes, one from Abraham Lincoln and one from Myron Golden. Abraham Lincoln once said, allegedly, "I will prepare, and my chance will come." Myron Golden said, "Your time will come, whether you prepare yourself or not. When you are prepared, you will be revealed. When you are not prepared, you will be exposed." Can you recall a moment in your life where you got what you wanted and you were not prepared for it? And you fumbled it, you lost it, you let it go, it went away, it didn't stay. And I know a lot of you right now are thinking about your ex, one of those that got away. But this conversation is deeper than relationships. This conversation is going to take us through the most important relationship that we have, which is the relationship with ourselves. And so if you stick around, you're going to learn something deep about honesty, devotion, and commitment to yourself, which is the unlock that allows you to keep the things that you want in your life. But let's go back to the message. Your time will come. Your opportunity will come, whether you prepare for it or not. When you are prepared for it, is what people call luck, right? When preparation meets opportunity, we call it luck. If you prepare for it, you'll keep it because you're ready for it. You're truly ready for it. If you're not prepared for it, it will expose the cracks in you, the vulnerabilities. I don't want to say weaknesses because that tends to add blame or a moral part. In my conversations, I like to hold a more compassionate lens, one that doesn't immediately go into blame or self punishment. And if we can hold that frequency, just holding difficult conversations and difficult moments of awareness with compassion, that is going to allow us to move through the breakthrough that needs to happen. My biggest hope is that you have a breakthrough in this. I don't know how long this video is going to be, hopefully not too long. But if you stick around, chances are that there will be a breakthrough that happens in your mind, in your heart, something that unlocks a new level of growth within you. At least that is the intention. I'll share this lesson with a personal story because I think that lessons tend to stick when you attach a story and you take it outside of the abstract, right? In my last video, I shared how the Artidote has come to an end. The Artidote has been the platform that I built single handedly for the last 10 years. It has become a community of millions of people across the world that got together around the topics of art, vulnerably honest conversations, conversations from the heart. And this all has come to an end. In the last video, I shared my internal reasons for this ending, which to many people it seemed abrupt. Not to me. For me, I've been feeling it for years, and I had just been procrastinating on accepting the end of something that I deeply loved enough to dedicate 10 years of my life to. What I didn't reveal was the external reasons. The truth is that AI and the coming of AI destroyed my project, burned it to the ground. I'll tell you what I mean. When I began the Artidote 10 years ago, I had come across this new idea in the social media space, which was combining a potent piece of visual art with a potent message. And the person that created that project, me 10 years ago, was depressed, socially anxious. There was no way that I would ever show myself on camera like this. There was no way that I would ever even use my voice to express myself. So, what did that person do? That person, instead of fully showing up visually and with their own voice, started curating content from other people. Content that he felt was important to share beautiful to share, and worthy of being seen by others. And so what I did was I collected the most beautiful pieces of artwork that I could find online and the most heart opening pieces of text. Then I would make them dance together. And I would share these as posts for a community that grew from that. It wasn't a mistake back then to have that as a system, right? Curating content online. It was the best thing that I could do at that moment. I didn't have either the energy, the willpower, the confidence, or even the awareness of showing myself online and exposing myself online. That was the scariest thing to me, to a socially anxious, insecure, depressed person. I couldn't. And so I used other people's words to speak through me. I used other people's visuals to speak what was on my heart. That was what I used as a system to build a community, to connect with others at an emotional level, while making sure that all of the artists and authors that I shared were always credited. And I noticed how the impact was true. The impact was there. People's lives were changing. People's lives were being impacted by finally having words to their feelings, finally feeling understood. A bunch of strangers from all over the world started connecting through those messages. And my only role was not even as a creator as much as it was a curator. And I was curating this space, right? Well, part of me was hiding. Part of me was hiding behind somebody else's words, behind somebody else's images, because I couldn't sustain being seen. I couldn't, literally. It was terrifying for me to be seen. I had spent most of my life trying to be as invisible as possible because being seen meant anxiety. I couldn't hold it. I couldn't hold somebody else's eyes on me, literally. And so I started hiding online through other people's words and through other people's content. Yet those posts started going viral to the degree that I was getting requests to be interviewed. There was a moment where I realized that I was going to be exposed. That if this page continued to grow, there was no way that I was going to continue to hide because people wanted to know more of who was beyond this page. And social media was then moving into this new territory where brands could no longer be anonymous, where people actually cared who was behind the brands that they were investing their time, energy, and money into. I realized that if I really wanted to keep that page, that community, my brand, that it required a new level of me, a new level of leadership, a new level of showing up, a new level of accountability, and that the skills that I had at that time simply were not a match for where this opportunity was taking me. You're beginning to see the theme rise up here. And so I realized that this opportunity was opening up doors for me that if I did not have the skills necessary to be able to walk through those doors, those doors were going to close on me. It was obvious to me that if I couldn't talk to people, there was no way that I would ever show up publicly to give a talk, talk about my ideas, share my ideas with others, and connect with others in a physical space. No way. And that was possibly the first time that I realized that that vision that you have for the thing that you want requires a new level of accountability within you to prepare for when that moment comes. And in 2015, when I realized and I accepted that I wanted to be a part of this journey and I wanted the opportunities that this journey would bring me, I realized that I needed to make decisions that would allow me to prepare for when my time would come. And in 2015, being depressed, socially anxious, and unable to speak on camera, let alone speak to a group of people live, I decided to take a job as a tour guide in Munich, Germany, a city that I had recently moved into, that I knew very little about. But I took that opportunity because I knew that my bigger dream was more valuable to me than the fear, the awkwardness, whatever self doubt I was carrying at that moment. And as you can imagine, my first tours were so fucking awkward. I remember seeing people's faces the moment they realized that they had taken a tour with someone that had very little experience in tour guiding. It was painful to deliver jokes that I had heard one of my colleagues deliver who had a whole completely different personality than I did. And trying to deliver his jokes with my own way of being and hearing crickets because the punchlines were off, the energy was off. It was excruciatingly painful. Long story short, that first year of me guiding strangers through a new city, giving them recommendations to places that I haven't even gone to, gave me the opportunity to meet myself with so much compassion as I was growing through it. Actively, I started to actively be there for myself. Very literally, I started sitting down with myself every morning to make space for any feeling that was coming up before I would go off to work. To give space to the doubt, to give space to the fear, to give space to the awkwardness, to give space to the what's going to happen if I don't make it. And something really magical happens when you give space to your emotions. You begin to understand them better. You begin to notice how they feel in the body, how they move through you. And you begin to breathe with them. I remember naturally sitting down with myself every single morning during that time became a ritual for me, a ritual that allowed me to understand what meditation was, what being there for myself was. There were moments where I would cry. There were moments where I would just release whatever fear was there. And there were some beautiful moments where I got to connect with a deeper part of myself that got so proud of doing something that scared me because I knew that on the other side of those fears was my golden door, a moment of breakthrough, a moment of deeply understanding myself and being able to be with myself so intimately that fear was no longer a block. It allowed me to stay true to my vision. And my vision was to know how to hold space, to know how to speak to people in a group. For me, that was a monumental vision. If I could have the ability to speak to a group of people and make them laugh or make them feel something intentionally and guide them through an experience not only of the city, but of their own self awareness, that is what the Artidote required back then, what my dream and my vision required of me back then, to be that kind of leader. Long story short, a year later, my time came. I got an email from students at the American University of Bulgaria, in Blagoevgrad, asking me to be a part of their TEDx that they were organizing. They're like, we'll fly you over, we'll provide, the stay, and we want you to share the story of the Artidote. This is the theme that we are moving through. This is the theme that we have. Would you grace us with your presence? And I was like, wow, I've been preparing for this moment for a year now, daily speaking to strangers. So when my time came, I would be prepared. And I was prepared and I said yes. And then when I get there, they tell me that the TEDx is going to be streamed live on Bulgarian national television. And if I still wanted to go ahead and do it. And I'm like, of course, of course. And I walked through that golden door. The TEDx talk is still on YouTube, by the way. It's cultivating empathy and self awareness in the age of social media, if you're curious. But that was one of the instances where I knew that my time was coming and I wanted to be prepared. I wanted to be revealed, not exposed. And maybe you can begin visualizing right now for yourself, when is your time coming? And when it comes, are you going to be prepared? Or are you going to be exposed? Obviously, nobody wants to be exposed. Sometimes our time comes before we're ready. Whenever that happens, as painful as it is, if you take a step back, breathe, close your eyes, and recognize that your unpreparedness reveals the spots where you need to grow. And this is not a moral failure. We're all beings in motion, in progress, in growth, always. We're either growing or perishing. There's no in between. And life begins to hurt when you lose sight of that we're always growing or perishing. Life hurts when you don't recognize the moments that are asking you to grow, that are asking you to pay more attention to those parts of you that need more growth. We don't come here into the planet knowing how to do everything and being perfect at anything. Planet Earth is a university for the soul. And if you dare look behind the pain, behind the stress, you're going to notice the various ways in which life is asking you to nurture more attention to the parts of you that need to grow. And this is not easy to hear, and this is not easy to accept. But the first part of any moment of growth happens with awareness and acceptance. I cannot heal something that I am not aware of. And I cannot change something that I'm not willing to accept. And that last story that I shared was a moment in which I was ready, and it revealed me to the world, or to the people that were there to see me, to witness me. But now I want to share also the other side, moments where I was exposed. One such moment happened fairly recently, and I knew it was coming, but I didn't prepare for it. That moment was when AI began to make a real presence in our lives. I knew that there will come a time, years ago, I knew that there will be a time when what I did with the Artidote and my work on social media of curating powerful pieces of content was going to be obsolete. I knew that years ago, before AI even entered our field of awareness. I knew that eventually there will be the technology that could pair words, images, and create them and release them at a faster rate than I could possibly ever humanly do. I knew that was coming. And I would be lying if I said I didn't prepare. There were some things that I started doing as preparation. I started showing up more of my voice and my essence online because I knew that when AI would come and be able to do my job better than I could, there would be something that would still remain. And I know a lot of you are asking yourselves this question today. If artificial intelligence can do my job, what remains of me? And what remains of you is your essence, is your frequency, is your truth, is your human resonance, your self expression, your unique self expression, your soul's blueprint. That's what remains. Back then, I couldn't verbalize it in these words that I'm sharing with you today, but I realized that when the moment would come, if I wanted to be prepared, I had to do the thing that scared me the most, which was show myself vulnerably, openly on camera. But I also started sharing my own words, despite being so insecure, because I had created a platform that was already millions of followers, a global brand that people recognized all over the world, the Artidote. And I felt that I had created something bigger than me where I felt so small in comparison to the thing that I had created, where I felt that my own words were not good enough. Imagine that, creating something that you feel you're not worthy of. It caused a big insecurity in me. So much that I procrastinated sharing my own words, sharing my own work, despite the fact that I had been writing my entire life, despite the fact that I grew up writing poetry. I grew up writing stories. For me, there's so much magic in words and storytelling. I mean, our stories is what creates worlds, and our words is what we use to paint those worlds. And so words are magical to me. There's a reason why they call it spelling. This is spells that we release onto the world. Spells that alter the way that we experience our world and the way that somebody else might be experiencing their world. That's why words are so important. And so years before AI finally showed up, I began sharing more of myself, being more on camera. And the one thing that I regret and the one thing that lets me know that I was exposed when it finally came was that I hadn't done enough. I was still hiding behind somebody else's artwork and behind somebody else's stories. I was still operating as that depressed, anxious, scared, afraid of being seen version of me that I was 10 years ago. And it would take around 8 years before I realized, like, oh, I've built something that I no longer feel like I fit in. As much appreciation I have for what I created when I needed, I no longer feel like in its current format, it can hold me. And so when AI finally came, I realized, oh, this thing that I'm doing now, this YouTube channel, this is something that I could have done 5, 8 years ago. And what would it look like had I started 5, 8 years ago, sharing videos weekly? How good would I be now? Because making videos is not just showing up and speaking, right? It's the consistency, the discipline, the commitment to it, the ability to connect with your own words, with your own voice in an authentic way. Um, the tech, figuring out the tech, figuring out the platform, figuring out the ecosystem of YouTube, for example, that requires time. That requires effort, energy, attention, commitment, discipline. Something that I'm doing now, but had I done it 5, 8 years ago, not only would I be way better at, this video would be 10 times better. My script would be 10 times better, more condensed, more to the point. My voice and my ability to deliver what I came here to deliver would be 10 times better than it is right now. And I was exposed. I was exposed. And so right now, I'm not going to ask you to follow and subscribe. Don't follow me yet. Don't subscribe to me yet. I will not ask anybody to subscribe to me until I have 100 videos on this channel. That is a promise to myself, and that is a promise to the universe, really. Until the universe and life and God knows that I am committed to the thing that I say that I want, which is being more in connection with my voice, with my truth, with my ability to show up as me, fully as me, don't follow me. Because right now I'm creating this video, but you still may not be so aware. Some of you might be picking up on it. I'm still not fully comfortable being on camera. I'm still not fully comfortable being here, connecting and having this tech around me. If you're watching this video, you're witnessing something unfold, and most people will not follow, and that's okay. I don't expect you to. I don't want you to. The only people that will follow and subscribe from these last two videos are people that are usually early adopters, people that usually see something in growth and are looking forward to that expansion. And so if you decide to follow, thank you. And you're awesome. But long story short, these videos, these first 100 videos are for me. For learning, for growing, because I was exposed. AI exposed me. I had created a platform based on curated content, and I wasn't fast enough at incorporating my own voice within that content for me to speak in a way that I feel that my message and what I really feel and how it really needs to come out can come out with the clarity that is needed to create the impact that I know my messages have. And so you're watching a work in progress because I was exposed. And so sometimes your time comes and it will reveal you or it will expose you. And so in those moments when you are exposed, it doesn't help to beat yourself up about it, to victim blame yourself, telling yourself, I should have known better, I should have done this, I could have done that. I've done that, okay? I should have started a YouTube video 8 years ago. But today is better than tomorrow. Today is better than a year from now. AI on the outside may have destroyed the Artidote, but not my mission, but not my voice, not my words. And the one thing that I notice that it's to me super obvious right now with the coming of AI is that it will challenge us to dig deeper about who we are, about who we really are, beyond the roles that we play, beyond the things that we do. Because if AI can do and can play different roles better than we can, who are we behind that? My answer is my essence. My answer is my authenticity, my truth, my voice. And if this is resonating with you, I invite you to consider the different ways in which you can connect with your voice, with your authenticity, with your truth, with your own unique expression. For some of it, it may be through dancing. For others, it may be through writing. For others, it may be through speaking. In an age where everything is becoming a copy of a copy of a copy, and we're no longer going to be able to tell who's real and who's not behind the screens that we look at constantly every single day, that resonance of truth cannot be faked. And so anything that gets you closer to your truth during this time will prepare you for when your time comes. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sticking around. Thank you for being willing to bear witness to a work in progress. I'll see you on the next one.